Welcome to the demonstration video of Lit at E, which is basically literature at E. In this video, we will show to you some of the things that Lit at E can do on basis of Wikipedia generated recommendations and their associated explanations as we mentioned in the paper. There are basically three ways in which you can look for a recommendation within Lit at E. You can either select on the basis of a novel, an existing novel right here. You can either select on basis of a novel of an author, or features, where features are Wikipedia categories or articles, and some samples are shown here. So let's look at the first way in which we can see some recommendations. So let's click on certain novel. I'll go somewhere which I've read to some novel which I've read and which is my personal favorite, Jane Eyre. So here you can see that Jane Eyre generates the recommendations shown here, and the first recommendation is Agnes Grey. And this recommendation makes sense because the author is Anne Bronte, who is a sister of Charlotte Bronte. They are basically four sisters, and the writing style is very similar, and the themes on which they write are also very similar. So, and the second explanation is that it is an 1847 novel. It's a Victorian novel, so was Jane Eyre, and the genre is British building romance, which is basically about a character evolving from youth to adulthood. Jane Eyre was also the journey of Jane Eyre from childhood years to her adult years, and Agnes Grey also follows a similar theme in my opinion. I haven't read Agnes Grey, but I'm interested in it just by seeing the recommendations. Then the second recommendation here is Great Expectations, and one of the explanations is that it's also a novel set in the 19th century. It's a novel adopted into a play. Jane Eyre has also been adopted into a play. It's also a Victorian novel and novel about orphans. Jane Eyre was also an orphan, and Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, a novel about an orphan. So for someone who's interested in literature, these explanations are very meaningful and you can get some very interesting novel recommendations. Let's go back and look at the feature of authors. So I clicked on an author, Stephen King. So some features that explain him are that he's from Sarasota, Florida. He's a writer from Bangor, Maine, American Methodist, he was an American school teacher, and he's an American horror novelist. Now the author recommendations, that is authors similar to him, are Joe R. Lansdale, and first explanation that we get is that he is an American horror novelist, American thriller writer, 21st century American writer. As you can see, these explanations are very interesting from the point of view of literature and reading. The second one, this guy, McKinley Cantor, is also from Sarasota, Florida. Fine detailed granularity is something which will highly fascinate those who love literature, because such level of recommendations is not being offered by current book recommendation or novel recommendation systems. Now finally, let's look at another example. How about something else I read? Oh, Treasure Island is something that I read in my childhood. Now from Treasure Island it generates Kidnapped. I haven't read Kidnapped, but it seems interesting because the author is the same. Works originally published in Young Folks magazine. I never knew that both Treasure Island and Kidnapped have been published in Young Folks magazine. Then, and British young adult, yes, it was a British novel. So these explanations are once again highlighting things that I did not know, and that's why they are very interesting for me. Now the second one is also by Robert Louis Stevenson and also published in Young Folks magazine. This one, Coral Island, has an explanation pirate books. Now someone who's read Treasure Island knows that it had the theme of pirates and there were pirates in it. And this one is also for pirates. This is something very interesting. Finally, let's see the last way in which we can look into recommendations, which is the browsing by category. Browsing by feature. Let's click on nautical fiction. Now these are all the novels that have the theme of nautical fiction, and this is basically a Wikipedia category. Now if you look at these novels, these are very interesting because they are about the sea, about riding and sailing and stuff like that. So such fine level granular explanations are something which is a very interesting feature, and it's all due to the power of E vectors that are generated from Wikipedia categories and articles. Finally, I'm going to show another feature, one last feature which I am very interested in personally, which is chick lit novels. It's a certain class of novels where which females are mostly interested in. Okay, so it shows that it, one novel with this theme is Passion's Promise, and by Daniel Steele. I haven't read this one, but it seems interesting. Sufi Kinsella is an author which I like very much, and I have read some of her books. It's giving me this recommendation. So, as you can see, for someone who likes reading novels, who is into literature, Lit at Eve can generate very nice explanations and very novel recommendations. So, I guess that's about it. Thank you for staying with us.